Hey everybody, how you doing? Dashin Dave here again. Please click that subscribe button and hit that like button. Thank you very much. Alright, let's look at the numbers for the year 2022. Starting off with Doordash, let's come down to row 33, the totals. I worked a total of 1,227.92 hours. I completed 3,518 jobs. My pay clocks in at $24,956.23. My average hourly pay came in at $20.32. The mileage driven for Doordash, 13,573.5 miles. I used 1,006.17 gallons, which cost me $3,563.05. Come over to column R. My dollar per mile average for the year for Doordash was a pretty respectable $1.84. A little below that, we see my average job rate for Doordash over the year, $7.09 per job. That's pretty respectable, I believe. Down in my expenses calculator, we see we finished the year at $13.87 per hour after all expenses, a little on the weak side there. The 3,518 jobs took me on average 0.35 minutes, right at about 22 minutes on the clock. A quick note on the Doordash hours and mileage, as I've mentioned a couple times before, when I'm noting these numbers on my little notebook, I will do a Doordash job and then an Uber Eats job comes up, so I start a new line on my notebook. When I get done with the Uber Eats job, I note the time and the mileage at that point. Then there may be some downtime and some empty miles that go on to the next job, which most likely is Doordash. So the Doordash numbers are not exactly accurate because they contain a lot of downtime and empty miles where the others do not, but that all comes together at the end when I put everything together. Up next, Uber Eats. We can see I did my first Uber Eats delivery March 11th. Down to the totals on row 33. I worked 243.65 hours. I completed 710 orders. The pay came in at $6,953.55. The hourly pay came in at a very respectable $28.54, and again, that's because everything but Doordash is very specific. Doordash contains most of the dead time and the empty miles. My mileage for Uber Eats was 3,158 miles. I used 235.22 gallons, which cost me $865.54. Over to column R, we see that clocks in at $2.20 per mile. Very, very healthy. My average job rate for each of the 710 jobs on Uber Eats, $9.79. Then we come down to the calculator. My average hour after expenses, $19.99. And then we see that each job took roughly 22 minutes again, 0.34 hours. Shifting over to Grubhub, you can see that July 17th, 2022 is when I did my first Grubhub delivery. Coming down to row 33 for the totals, I worked a total of 70.58 hours on Grubhub, completed 182 jobs, which brought me in $1,858.84, and the average hourly pay clocked in at a very nice $26.34. I drove 1,186 miles, used 87.37 gallons, which cost me $295.65. Over here again at column R, $1.57 per mile average across those 182 jobs. My hourly pay after all expenses, $17.54. And each job took me roughly 0.39 minutes. Some of the Grubhub runs were fairly long that contained some heavy mileage and some wait times at the restaurants. That's why that is up there at 0.39 minutes. Here we're looking at my Spark numbers. I did my first Spark job on November 8th of 2022. Down to row number 33, I've worked 35 hours, completed 53 jobs, which brought me in $1,169.49 for a very healthy average hourly pay at $33.41. I have driven 466 miles, used 35.85 gallons, which cost me $110.22. which comes into a dollar per mile metric of $2.51. Pretty good, pretty good. Down at the calculator there, we see my hour after all expenses, $24.42. Average job rate, 0.66, over a half an hour. And that is some of the wait times when you get an offer in at Spark at, say, 8:15, but the pickup isn't until 8:45. Can be some dead time with Spark. So here is year 22 with all of the apps on the one single spreadsheet. Coming down to row 33, I worked 1,598.2 hours, completed 4,498 orders across all 4 apps, which grossed me $35,368.24. Average hourly pay across all 4 apps, pretty respectable, $22.13 an hour. Across all 4 apps, I drove 18,589.3 miles, 1,389.42 gallons used, and a gasoline cost of $4,836.45. Average dollar per mile across all the apps for the whole year, $1.90, pretty respectable. Average job rate across all the apps, $7.86. Hour after all expenses across all 4 apps, pretty respectable, $15.23. I think that's pretty good. And the average job minutes for the 4,498 jobs, 0.36 minutes. Some fun extra numbers here. I brought in $180 in cash tips over the year 2022, and I believe just about every single dollar of that was through Doordash. I was a member of the Doordash large order program since the very beginning of the year. My LOP jobs brought me in around $1,500 on their own for the year. Of course, for most of the year 2022, we were all facing ridiculously high gasoline costs. Man, what would it have been if it had just remained static? I did not work near the hours I intended for the year 2022, and as I mentioned in my previous video, a lot of that was I was taking time off in order to work on videos, which really took a lot of my time, and those videos are going to become fewer and farther between, and I just got to put my nose to the wheel, if you will, and work more hours. As of right now, this isn't bad, but I need to have at least a third more revenue coming in. And I believe I can attain that because I was only working 5 to 6 hours per day on average. Bump that up to 8 and I think I'll be okay. Getting on board with Spark has really helped fill out my revenue stream, and one of the things that I've noticed is right about 2 o'clock in the afternoon when the food delivery is slowing down, it has slowed down from the lunch rush, Spark deliveries have a tendency to pump up at that time, and that's when I can get those $40 and $50 runs, 10, 12 individual drop-off one items. And quite frequently those big runs have a stopping point in Nevada, right where I live. Works out pretty sweet. Alright guys and gals, that's all I've got for you today. Hopefully you can take something from this video and put it to use for yourself. Thanks for coming along for the ride, and hope to see you next time.